Merry Christmas, everybody. It is Thursday night, December 21st, and we are really looking forward to talking with you guys tonight. So stick around after this little message from us. I totally neglected to say earlier that I am Josh Olive with Haven Comics, the absolute best comic book store at our address on Slaughter Road. Period. The end. Nobody better at that spot. Um, Tonight, we also have on one of our favorite folks on the planet, Ebenezer Scrooge and the Ghost of Christmas Past.
I feel like I have been away from this show for a month of Sundays. I will be honest with you.
Well, yeah, it does feel that way. Heck, I feel like I missed the last half of the last show because halfway through the show, my microphone quit working.
The
And Kaylisa, I had to text Kaylisa, who popped on, and she would talking to Scott, and I was more or less just running through all of the things in the chat and popping up questions that people were asking and things like that. But have you ordered your copy yet of The Doom of Odin?
No, I have not. I've actually got to order the others and read them first.
Okay, so you need to get on the stick and get A Gathering of Ravens, Twilight of the Gods, and The Doom of Odin, because I 100% guarantee you are going to flip and love these books.
Are they on Amazon?
They are.
All right. So I was having to tweet out about the show. So why did that pop up that there? But okay, whatever. To kind of peel the curtain back a little bit, I
Okay.
found out and we've kind of talked about this before. When we have a guest, I know who the guest is, a good week or so beforehand. But when it's just the two of us, I normally don't find out what the topic is until everybody else sees the Facebook post also.
That's true.
Which I love that because it does not give me an opportunity to overthink it. But to be honest with you, when I started thinking about reads of 2023, I got a headache, I cried a little bit, and I went to bed.
That's not too far off for me. My list, because I got to write this down because there's so many things, and my list just kept going and going. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's impressive.
And to peel the curtain back a little bit further, and Josh can testify to this, I sent Josh a text message, I guess it was Saturday afternoon, of this hot mess that the bug and I was dealing with, comic books everywhere. And I'm like, please tell me you've got long boxes at the shop. So we end up going to the shop, and I kind of reached my breaking point, and I just started putting stuff in long boxes because we were dealing with so much. When I went to pick my comic books for tonight, which was about 2 hours ago, by the way, I literally just went to those long boxes that I bought and started flipping through them. And I chose my comic books literally based off of what I sorted over the weekend, which was almost a year's worth of books. And then it was, I don't think you should be on the list. I don't think you should be on the list. I don't think you should be. I like you. You're coming out.
That's not too far off from what I did. I just haven't organized them all, so I picked up all the various stacks that are laying around because I just have stacks of books here and there.
I have read a ton of comic books trying to get caught up. I got so many comic books caught up, and I thought, I have made a dent in this. Then I turned around, and there was 5 bags that I had not even taken the books out of the bag yet from Haven.
That sounds right.
And I was like, holy crap, I've still got a stack like this. Other than this week's issue, I am caught up on Nightwing. Nightwing, I see what they're trying to do with this kind of lover's triangle thing.
Yeah.
But then that kind of, I'm guessing for now, is blown out of the water after what happened in...
Literally.
Yeah, literally after what happened in the last issue, not the issue that come out this week, but last week's
Right,
or last
right.
month's issue. I really and truly don't like that idea because to me, and here's my hot take for anybody that may watch this and get mad. Dick and Barbara are the power couple of DC Comics right now. And I just don't think that they should be doing anything to mess with those two because Tom Taylor did such a good job of getting them back together and even taking us to the point in the Batmite issue where it was like, will they, won't they, are they going to? Yeah, they are. So yeah, I just don't know how I feel about this whole potential lovers triangle that they're setting up.
That's fair.
And plus, I was kind of hoping we was going to leave the Rick Grayson thing alone and pretend like it never happened.
That's kind of what they're doing. He's totally got a memory wipe there. It's just like, boop, I don't know what happened. But apparently something happened during this time. And I think it's cool that he's actually making use of that in the story to say, yep, this thing happened. And making it that era of Nightwing have some value to it, because otherwise it was terrible.
Yep.
It was terrible, just terrible.
But also with my books that I chose, what are you doing over there?
Before we launch too far into this, I think we should talk about what's happening on Saturday.
Yes, we should.
For anyone who doesn't know, on Saturday at about 5 o'clock up at the shop, we're going to just host a little like Christmas hangout. Just come hang out. If you want to bring something to nosh on, bring it. If you just want to hang out and talk comics and Christmas, do it. We're just going to be having a good time. But as part of that, because we always like to do this, we're going to try and raise some money for Kids to Love. And you guys have heard us talk about them before. Great organization that supports foster kids and their families here in North Alabama. They're right behind us. They're less than a quarter of a mile away as the crow flies. And we're going to try and raise some money by doing something weird, which I don't think sounds all that bad. I may be wrong. I may be eating my words come Saturday. But if you've seen the movie Elf, and I know you've all seen the movie Elf, he likes spaghetti. But he likes a very special spaghetti. He likes spaghetti with syrup and chocolate syrup and marshmallows and crumbled up Pop-Tarts, which he likes to mush all together with his hands. And for your entertainment and to raise money for Kids to Love, I'm going to do that. Alan, are you going to join me?
I don't know if I'm going to join you, but I will very possibly take I don't even know how to describe this. I want to know what spaghetti and maple syrup tastes like.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
But at the same time, I could care less what spaghetti, maple syrup, and Pop-Tarts taste like.
Don't forget chocolate syrup and marshmallows.
Yeah, I honestly, the sweets is going to overpower everything.
I'm going to find out because I'm going to do it.
It's going to be one of those things where, your teeth are going to be hurting halfway through this.
Well, see, that's apparently where you guys, some of you guys, and by you, I mean not you, but most everybody else has a tolerance for super hot things, right? And I have no tolerance for that at all. And yet, during our 24 hours at Haven, when I took a shot of Mrs. Butterworth's and you guys are all like, oh my God, that's nasty. And I'm like, I thought that was perfectly normal. I didn't have any problem with that at all. So where y'all have a taste for the hot stuff or a tolerance for the hot stuff, I have a tolerance for the sweet stuff.
Well, we definitely going to see this go down Saturday night.
You know what I'm most leery of? No lie, hand to God, is I'm going to have that crap all in my beard.
Oh yeah.
And that is going to be like, how do I get this out of my beard?
And I'm also curious as to what that consistency is going to feel like.
Oh, it's
Pop-Tarts
going
and
to be
spaghetti.
weird.
Yeah.
I'm already confident that that's going to just be weird.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Yeah. Should I just have the spaghetti and sauce already in a Ziploc bag like he does?
Honestly, what I really and truly want to see is I want to see you go to take a bite and then stop and then pull a small thing of syrup out of your sleeve like he does. And then pour it on.
That's not a bad idea at all. I don't know if you saw up at the shop this past Saturday, but Nick Ellis came by with his wife and his little girl, and they brought some cookies. They had made some Christmas cookies.
Yep.
But they also had me a present all wrapped up, and I could tell by the feel of it. I was like, this is a married woman. And I opened it up, and sure enough, it was Mrs. Buttersworth right there. There's a big old bottle of Mrs. Buttersworth.
Oh, God, that stuff's so good. It really is.
It really is. It's a delight.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Connecting my freckles.
You're like drawing Cassiopeia on your arm or something. Good Lord Almighty.
My freckles.
Uh-oh, we have a store folio.
Yes, we do. When I say that I was just kind of grabbing stuff, it is an eclectic mix. I do have a couple in that are going to get dishonorable mention, but they're not in this stack. I was just trying to move this out of the way.
Now, are you jumping straight into our review stuff, or are you doing your, like, this is this week's books or the books from the past week or two?
I'm just doing our review stuff because to be honest with you, I'm trying, since I was so far behind just because, life gets hectic at times. I started out trying to read everything in order by weeks, and that was getting to be, that was just, I don't know, it just wasn't working. So I started grouping everything together. Like I went through and I pulled out all the Nightwings. I went through and I pulled out all the Daredevils.
I pulled them out.
Yeah, she pulled them out because it ended up being almost a couple of months worth of comic books. I still have a stack probably about like this that I have not even read yet. So I was going to do the review stuff just simply because everything that come out last week, if it's not, what else? Oh, I'm caught up on Godzilla versus Justice League, which I've actually really truly enjoyed those two issues. I know a lot of people thought the first issue was really slow.
I was one of those people.
I liked it because to me it was just kind of building. I guess they were building the story as to why they're together.
Fair.
I did enjoy in the second issue where Superman hits Godzilla and it pretty much just did absolutely nothing. Kind of pushed him back a little bit, and that's about it.
Yeah, that was nice to see. So Superman's going to have to use his brain and figure out what to do.
Yeah, and then they had the other kaiju that kind of showed up in different places all over the world. So we kind of already know which direction that's going to end up heading in. What's up, Jay Weird? What's going on, brother?
What's up? How you doing, Jay? What's happening, James?
And I did read issue 2 of The Devil That Wears My Face. That is an absolutely creep. I mean, issue 2, you're kind of like, man, I don't even know if I need to be reading this. This is, I mean,
it's hard.
Yeah, this has gotten harsh and dark quick. And I think one of the things that has it's been very good. Y'all do not get me wrong. It's been very, very, very good. And if you like horror, it's a must read.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely shocked me that this has come from from
Mad Cave.
I was just kind of blown away that Mad Cave has put this book out.
Wait until you see the sign-up list for next year or next month. Have you seen it already? Did you see it when you went by the shop today?
Honestly, I don't really look at the sign up list that much anymore because somebody keeps signing me up for comics. So I have no idea.
Well, you'll have to look at it this time because there were a couple I was like, I don't know if he's going to want that or not. Like Mad Cave has got a couple of licensed properties.
Yeah, I know they're coming because I do want to check out their Flash Gordon. I just don't know when it's coming out.
It's
Mr.
in this
Ryan
month's
Williams?
previews. It's in this month's previews.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Flash Gordon and also Battle of the Planets.
Yeah, and I knew I remember that one now, that them getting that, because I do want to check those two out. Yes, Jay Weird, that is a strong book right there. Ryan Williams, that book that we're talking about, The Devil That Wears My Face by Mad Cave, dude, I think you would like it.
It is powerful.
Yeah, it is really good. It's definitely not your typical possession story.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you do kind of have some elements of that in there. If there was one thing about it that I did not like, at the end of the second issue where it shows him or it shows our priest, but he's possessed he's in the other guy's body.
Right.
I guess kind of sharing space, and he's cut his hair and he's trimmed his beard and he's got his sword. It's almost like there for a split second, I felt like it was about to be a demon versus a pirate.
A little bit.
I mean, that's kind of just the way that it felt. But I'm definitely, and I know was the third issue come out? Would that come out this week? I think it come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it at home, and I'll be reading that. I am actually on vacation as of 2:00 this afternoon. So I will be getting caught up on comic books quick, fast, and in a hurry. And as soon as I'm caught up, the pull list will be coming back.
Yay.
Hopefully,
I do get questions about that, week. Like if that's going to be coming back.
Yeah, hopefully that will be back next Friday. I just need to get through to Christmas itself. Because once everybody leaves the house about 6:00 Christmas night,
mm-hmm.
Oh, it's going to be on, and I can't wait. So when you were thinking about doing this, where we talk about our favorite reads of 2023,
yep.
Did you have a certain criteria that you went off of, or was it just this is what I like and this is what I'm going with?
I broke it down into a couple of categories or a handful of categories. I broke it out by mini-series.
Okay.
Long-form ongoing series. Then I had like new series and comebacks, like things that have been gone for a while but have come back.
Okay.
But that was just how I decided to break it down. How'd you break it down?
Nothing like that at all. I literally went, no, wait a minute. There was one particular book. Did I not grab it? Please tell me I grab it. No, I didn't. I did not grab it. I did not break it. I literally went with what I thought really and truly got to me story-wise.
Yep.
Whether it got to me, for lack of a better way to put it, emotionally, because there was a couple of books that did get to me that I was just I had to think about it for a minute. And then there were other books that, for lack of a better way to put it, they excited me as far as the fantasy aspect and the whole what they were doing. And I literally just went with what excited me, I guess.
I dig it.
I guess one way to put it is, if it moved me, it made the list.
That's fair. I have a very long list.
Yeah, one book that definitely made the list and is actually a new book that came out just a couple of weeks ago, and I literally forgot to put it in the store folio, but I am going to mention it right quick. That is Moon Knight issue 30.
Holy smokes, you ain't kidding.
That whole scene where he is pretty much he's dying. He knows he's dying. He knows he's got to sacrifice himself and finish. He's basically got to finish off killing himself.
Yep.
In order to save these people. But that whole, he felt like he was alone.
Yep.
And then it was like, no, you're not alone. And it was his split personalities, Jake, Steven. But the thing that I think, them basically cheering him on and then Jake raising his glass, it was like one last one to you, lads. But the part that I think actually got me was Khonshu telling him, I can't help you. There's nothing I can do. I'm limited because I'm incarcerated, but I'll be there when it's over and you will stand by my right hand, my son. Dude, that like hit hard. And that is an amazing read. And McKay built perfectly to that.
Did you read the letter at the end from Jed McKay?
Yes, I did. And that made it even better. I mean,
it really did.
A lot of times I don't read those editor's notes or I don't read what the writer puts in there. But that was one of those, the last page that of that book, the way that it ended and the shot with them all sitting in the midnight mission and all of them are wearing some form of white to carry on his legacy. That was like a powerful shot. I mean, it really was. So then it was like, okay, I got to know what he says about this. Will they bring Mark Spector back one day? He's going to come back one day.
It pretty much says it in this book. I mean, It pretty much does.
Yeah, he's coming back one day.
Somehow, some way, eventually.
But I tell you, out of that picture of all of them sitting there together, or basically, them kind of standing around the chair. I can't remember exactly who was sitting in the chair. The one, and I love Hunter's Moon. That is probably Hunter's Moon, and I wished I would have found that book to grab it. It's somewhere in the pile. That is the best new character that I think was introduced in 2023. Or was he right there at the end of 2022?
I don't remember. I wasn't puzzling over the timing. I was puzzling, thinking, okay, that's an interesting question. Best new character that was introduced.
As far as Marvel is concerned, I think he's the best new character that they've introduced because they did not retcon a existing character. Jed McKay gave us a brand new character, then turn around and gave us a reason to care about this character, and then turn around, or also at the same time, kind of gave us a reason not to like this character, but then turn around and gave us a reason to fall in love with this character.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hunter's Moon was written absolutely brilliantly. And his story arc and his progression over the past year. But the one character out of that entire scene that got me excited that I would love to see more of, and I hope that he does it with The Vengeance of Moon Knight, that was seeing Soldier in the Mr. Knight vest with the tie.
Oh, I think we're definitely going to see that.
I was like, oh, hey, hang on now. Wait a minute.
But the setup was Zodiac. Oh.
To me, Zodiac is a complicated character because he's a great character. I want to see him and Moon Knight go head to head. That has the potential to basically be Moon Knight's Joker if done properly.
Potentially, yeah.
But at the same time, I would love to see Soldier go after Zodiac for helping Black Spectre.
Which I expect is going to be some organic conflict there in the book. But I think Zodiac is the new Moon Knight.
You think so?
Go back and look at it again. When he goes to leave the midnight mission, and she's like, how did that door open? And he's like, the mission and I just came to an agreement. I think Zodiac because he was really upset. It's like, wait, you can't just kill Moon Knight for real. That you can't do that. I
Yeah,
think he is the vengeance of Moon Knight. I think he's the next Moon Knight.
that would be an awesome twist. It really would be.
Wouldn't it?
Because in his mind, he's the only person that should be allowed to kill Moon Knight.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
But I think that's what it's going to be, because otherwise, with the minute I read that line where he's like, the mission and I just made an agreement,
I didn't even look at it that way.
and I was like, what? What? I think that's what happened.
Because, and it does say that they're going to have to deal with this new Moon Knight. So, yeah. And I mean, there's history and there's baggage there. Oh, God.
It sets up a really interesting world, doesn't it?
It really does. And honestly, I'm at the point where I feel sorry for people that are not reading Moon Knight.
Brother, I have got to tell you, this has been, and it kind of feels nigh on blasphemous to say for some reason, but this has been my favorite run of Moon Knight ever.
I think, you know, when he first started this Moon Knight run, I was a little leery because we had just come off of that funky little Moon Knight thing where the Sun King or whatever and all
Right.
that, it was extremely psychedelic and psychological. Like, you know, do I need to do, you know, mind altering drugs to be able to actually understand what happened in this comic book?
Right.
McKay took it over, and from issue 1 to issue 30, anybody that ever watches this, and I don't care if this is 1,000 years in the future and you found this archive somewhere in a wasteland, I dare you to go pick up Moon Knight issue 1 through 30 by Jed McKay and find one bad issue.
There's not one.
I guarantee you cannot do it. I mean, from the fights to the psychological aspect to the split personality to, you know, even him and Tigra, when she steps on the bomb in issue, 29?
Yeah.
And she's kind of stuck there. I mean, he's been perfect for Moon Knight, and I agree with you 100%. I mean, it might be considered blasphemy to some people, but it's definitely the best run of Moon Knight we've ever seen.
It's fantastic. And I tell you the other thing that I'm hoping, and I don't know if I've mentioned it here on the show yet or not, but I'm hoping it. I really am hoping it. We just had Moon Knight City of the Dead was a 5-issue limited series that picked up right where Moon Knight 25 left off. I mean, it might as well have been the same author. Dave Pepose did a wonderful job of making that seamless, right? And we got this story of Moon Knight in the Egyptian City of the Dead, teamed up with his dead girlfriend, who is now the Scarlet Scarab, essentially running about being Batman and Robin for the good souls in the City of the Dead that are being overrun or cowed or bullied by the evil souls, right? It wouldn't hurt my feelings one little bit to have the vengeance of Moon Knight carry on in this world and to have another, like a City of the Dead focused Mark Spector and Scarlet Scarab story set in the City of the Dead at the same time. I would read the heck out of both of those.
Yeah, that would be really good because, I mean, honestly, if you thought about it, and you know, just for argument's sake, let's say that Zodiac is the new Moon Knight. Zodiac is going to be like Mark Spector. He's not going to hold back. He's going to put them down, and he's going to put them down hard.
Yep.
But what happens then? They end up going to the underworld, and now they've got to deal with the true Moon Knight. You let this story play out for a few months.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, Mark figures out what's going on. He's already somewhat made friends with Osiris.
Yep.
They strike a deal. He comes back, and then he has to go head to head with the false Moon Knight.
I'm telling you,
They-
this
Man,
all lines up so beautifully,
Yep.
and I want this so bad. Marvel, I know you're not listening, but if you're listening, for the love of all things holy, put us in touch with Jed MacKay. Put us in touch with David Pepose. We've got this plotted out.
I would love to have Jed MacKay on the show. I
I
really
have
would.
reached out to him. No response whatsoever. He probably thinks I'm a creeper, but I have reached out to him, and I would dearly love to talk with him. Jed MacKay, wherever you are, please call on the show so we can tell you how awesome you are. That's all we ask.
Really. But moving on to comic books that I actually have, and we probably won't. I mean, I'm sure there's some of these we'll go into some detail on, but I'm going to save this one for last.
Now, are you sticking to titles in general or specific issues?
I'm sticking to titles in general.
Good.
Because I do read a fair decent amount of ongoing titles, but I also read a lot of miniseries. I do like having everything wrapped up.
I was shocked at the number of miniseries that I have on my list. It far outweighs all of the other ones.
I like getting that complete story, and then it kind of becomes a mental game of, will there be a sequel? Will there not be a sequel? First up on my list for 2023, and I think would be a travesty if there's not a sequel to it. Y'all have heard us talk about it multiple times. Black Tape.
That is on my list as well.
The reason why I fell in love with this book from the very beginning is in that, and now for you younger kids, you're not going to understand this, but my fellow Gen Xers out there, my children of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, y'all are going to understand this. In the first couple of pages, we see our main character, who's a lead singer of a metal band, on stage in the late 70s, possibly early 80s. The way he is drawn and the way that Panosian wrote this, you see him on stage, he's singing, he's kind of got his head back. The first person that I thought of was the original lead singer of AC/DC, Bon Scott. Around him, you've literally got the groupie girlfriend, the sleazy record executive. You see a pinball machine that's got like his likeness. You literally see everything in a 2-page spread that we saw happen in real life in the 80s with Big Hair Metal and all that. And then by the end of the 4th issue, the guy that you're rooting for to save the day ends up becoming the devil himself. And
that was such a twist.
It
hints that there's so much more story going on, and then it just leaves you like, no, I want more of it.
Exactly. I mean, it was wrapped up beautifully in 4 issues. I love the fact that at the end of it, he literally walks up and just starts playing that pinball machine. I thought that was great. But yeah, Black Tape is definitely on my list for 2023. Very possibly next, one of my most recommended books of 2023, and I had 2 that in my mind are absolute must reads for 2023. Once again, it was 4 issues. I know for a fact that there's a certain comic book shop that whenever the trade for this book comes out, that trade ends up selling out. And this is a very good book. I cannot recommend this one enough, and that is Red Zone by AWA.
Also on my list.
Yeah, I mean, just a great overall book. For anybody that may be watching us the first time or did not hear our Red Zone reviews, it is basically a retired John Wick mixed in with that Bruce Willis movie Red. I mean, you do have this funky little cyborg thing, but other than that, there's no superpowers. There's none of that stuff. Our hero ends up in Russia helping. He's a college professor helping basically a special forces team get someone out of Russia. they end up getting taken out, but you realize that he's not a college professor. And when certain retired operatives in Russia realize that he is back in Russia, they come out of retirement to basically try to kill him. And it's about him, wrapping everything up, helping this person escape Russia. You have an idea of who you think this woman is, and by the end of it, you know definitively that you were right, and it was such a satisfying story. They could easily do this again. What's up, Mike? They could easily do a sequel to Red Zone, or they could easily do a prequel, and we go back to when he was younger. Next, and I do have several. Actually, I think this is my last AWA book coming up. There's no way to
Mike.
Do what?
I said, hang on a sec. Mike, are you coming up to the shop on Saturday? And if so, do you also want to eat some elf spaghetti?
Next up on my list, this book is over with. This book is 5 issues. There is no way for there to be a sequel whatsoever. It cannot be done. It's done. This is the definitive end to a comic book, and an end that I guarantee you will not see anywhere else. I've never seen a book end this way and still be satisfying. Sins of the Salton Sea.
Also on my list.
I've never seen a comic book end like this, and there's nothing that can be done about it. It was, honestly, the ending was perfect. You win, but at what cost?
Yep.
I mean, that's literally what it comes down to.
The dress code is festive.
Wear your stretchy pants, we eating spaghetti with syrup.
Festive.
I got a couple more. Just a few more. Next up for 2023, this was to me, it was a very satisfying miniseries. There will be another arc. There has to be another arc, the way the last one ended. I thought it was a fun read, and at the same time, with Exorcist Never Die,
oh yeah,
they gave me a reason to care about the backstory. A lot of times in books like these, our characters are thrown into it. We get a little bit of a backstory, and then we just kind of go. With this, it's a very complex backstory, and they gave me a reason to care about these two characters right here, and gave me a reason to want to see them get back together.
I really enjoyed that book, but I did not put it on my list.
Yeah, and another reason why I put it on my list is I like the way the representation for the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
And I like the way that the angels were represented in it.
I like the magic system, the God flow and all that. I thought that.
Yeah,
was cool.
I thought it was just really cool the way they tied all that together. The next one is, and Josh and I both fell in love with this book. We fell in love with this book really hard. It was one of those that I had no idea what it was. It ended up in my box one day, and I thought, okay, well, I guess Josh wants me to read it, so we can talk about it on the show. And since this book come out and we started talking about it, I can tell you for a fact that Josh has not been able to keep it on the shelves. And that is The Hunger in the Dusk.
Oh boy, ain't that the truth? That's definitely on my list.
Yeah, this was one of I just had
to reorder more copies of number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, and I think we're up to issue 4 now.
5, I think.
4 or 5.
Came out.
Yeah, has been really good. It's a complex story without being a complex story, and we're getting a different. To me, what I feel like is a different take on orcs.
Very.
And they're building the relationships. This is very, very, very character driven, but it's also a great story.
Wait until you read the next one.
I'm gonna pick up the pace a little bit.
The most recent issue that just came out. Wait until you read it, brother, because you're like, whoa, what?
Oh, good,
The very
good.
last page, you're gonna throw your book across the room.
I know that there's somebody somewhere by the name of Tots that has probably made it up to this point going, hey, you have not mentioned it. Why have you not mentioned it? It's the greatest book ever written of all time.
Yep.
And I'm not going to argue with you, but here it is. No One.
That's on my list too. Yes.
The last issue, not the most recent one that come out. Sorry. But the issue where no one got shot.
Uh-huh.
And the guy is reaching for his mask to pull it off. That's the first time in a comic book that I've went, oh God, here we go. We come so close to finding out who No One is. This has been a great vigilante book without being a superhero book.
That's a true statement. Yes.
The backstory, the way it's all set up. I mean, Kyle Higgins is on a different level than a lot of people, and he proves it with this book. This has just been a fantastic read. Cannot recommend it enough. And once again, another book that flies off the shelves when it comes in.
It really does, yeah.
When we're up to issue 6, I believe.
Of 10, yeah.
Of 10. Once 10 comes out, you know there's going to be trades. Go ahead and sign up to get the trade. This is a book that you will not be disappointed in. Next, surprise, surprise.
I wonder if it will be as satisfying to read it in trade format instead of the monthly format where the anticipation builds.
Yeah.
Because like you just said, it's like, oh my God, are we finally going to get to see? Because I've waited 6 months for this. I don't know. I don't know if it will hit quite as hard, but the story will still be just as darn good. So yes.
Yeah, because this is also, No One is one of those books that if you've got the trade, reading the entire story at one time is going to work very, very well.
Although you should take a break between each issue and listen to the podcast.
Yeah, the podcast has been really good. They've done
the podcast is in world, and the voice talent is spectacular.
Yep.
You definitely need to read the book and listen to the podcast.
The way that he went full blown meta with this has just been. This is very possibly one of the most immersive comic book experiences that you can have.
Agreed.
For only $3.99 a month. Because the podcast is free. The Twitter feeds are free. I mean, everything else is free. The only thing you're paying for is the comic book. And it's been great. Kyle Higgins has taken comic books to a different level with No One, with the actual story itself. And the presentation and everything.
And he's not just doing it with this book either. He's doing it with Radiant Black.
Radiant Black is an outstanding comic book, but right now with what's going on, I do not recommend anybody jumping into it right now.
Well, now is a terrible place to start.
Yeah,
but
now
if you've been reading it, it's a great place to be.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. That is the truth. Radiant Black. Once again, guys, I know a comic book store where y'all could do this if you wanted to. The trades for Radiant Black, I think there's 4 trades right now, or maybe 3 trades. Takes you from issue 1 to issue 24.
24, that's right.
And they're only 3 or 4 trades, and they're only 9. Oh, I think it's 3 trades. They're only $9 each, $10 each. And this book works in trade format.
Very well.
Just the way that he wrote it and the way that it flows. Nathan and Marshall are a great team. Radiant Black's been a really good book. It just wasn't on my list for best read of 2023. Next up, and you and we laughed through all 7 books of this, it was something that nobody knew would work as well as it did, except for one person. And when he put his vision out there, he took us all on a ride.
Brandy. That is called The Hunger and the Dusk from
Yep.
IDW. It is, if you like fantasy, and I know you do, it is spectacular.
Yeah, this has been my sleeper hit so far 2023. But the book that really took, I think, both of us on a ride that we just could not stop laughing and could not stop talking about, that was Batman and the Joker, Deadly Duo.
That was on my list for sure.
I mean, how else are you going to lighten the load on a train? You just throw all the fat people off.
And again, the funny thing about it, because Batman is like, absolutely not. We do all this other stuff. And the funny thing about it is that for it, the plan to actually work and for all these people to not die, you literally had to have both solutions.
Exactly.
You had to have both. So Batman, had he just been on his own, everybody would have died.
Yep.
The Joker, by checking a few people off while Batman wasn't looking, saved a whole lot of people. That was such a surprisingly well-written story, because I wasn't sure what to expect from Mark Silvestri as a writer on Batman. Surprisingly well-written story. The art, unsurprisingly, was absolutely stunningly beautiful. And we got a new villain that I'm hoping that they make use of.
Yeah, and I thought it was really cool the way that this villain started, and I cannot remember her name. I'm just going to call her the Bride.
Yep.
The way she started out, and then the way she ended in the last panel, she was two different characters, but
almost as kind of anti-heroes seemingly at the very end.
Yeah, and I mean, that was a book that when it ends, you're like, okay, so when do we start the ongoing now?
Yeah, I wanted to read more.
Yeah, I mean, I love the way he presented that character. And then you had like the silly moments in it where I think it was Nightwing and Catwoman.
Oh, yeah.
Breaking
with
into
the
some
nicknames
place.
And everything.
Yeah, and she was calling him Night Cheeks. Okay, and everybody wants to talk about Nightwing's got the best butt in DC, and then she calls him Night Cheeks. I fell out. I mean, it was just silly stuff like that. But the story, at the end of it, it was actually a pretty dark and twisted story.
Very much.
I mean, the whole premise is Harley Quinn has been kidnapped. The Joker needs Batman's help, and no matter what, you don't take what belongs to the Joker.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is
oddly that includes Batman.
And
Batman belongs to the Joker, and nobody else gets to mess with it.
Yeah. Next up is I've got 3 more, and then I'm done.
Really? I have so many more.
Well, I was also kind of going with, especially these next 2. I'm going to call these both reboots, even though that somebody's going to argue with me. I know they are. And I really don't care because I'm sticking to it on this. But this book, I think, has been rebooted perfectly. Not only has it was extremely wordy, but it gave us a new character. And we didn't even know we were getting a new character until I think the end of the second book. Even though
you're talking about now.
And then she was introduced in this one. That is Wonder Woman #1.
Yes.
Literally, Tom King took over Wonder Woman. It was an extremely wordy issue. You can see some parallels of what's going on in the real world versus what's going on in this world. But it's been very well done. The new character that he introduced, I believe her name ends up becoming Emily. Or I think that's just how my redneck mind translated it.
It's just Emily with an IE at the end instead of a Y.
Yeah. She does get introduced in the beginning of this one. And then in the second issue, the way we get to find out who she actually is and where she actually and what her backstory is I mean, it's Tom King. I mean, the man knows how to write. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
Issue 3 just come out. Tom up at the shop said issue 3 is so good. He kind of gave me what it was
so
about. And that's one of those that I want to read it, but I know I'm not looking forward to it because I know it's going to be a heartbreaking issue.
I don't know that it's heartbreaking. It's fascinating.
Really?
The one cool thing, you get to see painfully exactly how the lasso of lies works.
Oh, really? I was thinking more along the lines of the Make-A-Wish aspect of it.
Nah.
Oh, is that not that bad? It's not the Spider-Man taking off his mask and then you realize why he took off his mask in the one cartoon.
No, it's not that bad.
Because that was the one that made all grown men go, oh, they didn't have to do that.
Yeah, I got something in my eye.
Yeah. I'll tell you later. Next one is, to me, it's a reboot. But here's the thing about it, and it's why this particular one has made the list. In Nightwing, we literally, Tom Taylor started bringing, yep, you see a bug hiding. Nick, pointing you out.
Oh.
We saw Tom Taylor start bringing the Titans into Nightwing, and it still felt like a Nightwing book. And
Yep.
he kind of built and built and built, and they would show up every once in a while, then they kind of do their, and it was very natural feeling. Then by the time we actually get to the release of Titans 1, the team was back together. We didn't really and truly need to do a whole lot to establish why they were back together. We already knew what was. This book spun out of Nightwing. I thought it was very well done, and I was a little bit, not necessarily worried. I was extremely curious as to how you were going to disband the Justice League, but yet make the Titans the new, basically, protectors of Earth. And I thought it was very well done. They literally started this book with a bang. Literally.
Yep.
And we're still dealing with that story, but it's...
Well, one of the people on that cover got murdered.
Yeah,
the
one of the
first thing
people
that
on the
happened.
cover got murdered. This book to me, and this is my hot take, and I'm prepared to argue on some level. Titans right now is the DC version of Marvel's current Fantastic Four. And the reason why I say that is this does not feel like a superhero book. It feels like a family again.
Yep.
And Fantastic Four, I just did not dig any of those books out. They're definitely on my must read, one of the best reads of 2023, for various reasons, but there's a lot of issues from Fantastic Four that could be on that list, and not, so I'd have to say title overall.
Yep.
But Titans has been a great read. My number one book of 2023, of which you need to read, was only 3 issues.
Okay, here we go.
I
was wondering when you were going to get to it.
Yeah, this is by far and away overall my favorite book of 2023. The best story that I read of 2023. If there was a story, and y'all can make fun of me if you want to, I'm just going to be completely and totally honest. If there was ever a comic book story that would have legit made me cry, it was this one. Because there were aspects of it that I thought was absolutely gut-wrenching, heartbreaking. I mean, every word you could think of. Once again, I know a comic book store where you can get the trade. It's up there. It's only 3 issues, and
3 oversized issues.
Yeah, 3 oversized issues, and it is worth it. Oh my God, it is so worth it. And that is Scott Snyder's Clear. When you, to kind of refresh, or for those of you that have never heard us talk about it before, basically he is a private investigator. A woman is murdered, and yeah, that word. A woman is murdered. He has to go ID the body, and they're just kind of like, well, you don't feel too broken up about it. And he's just like, well, she's my ex-wife. We hadn't talked in a couple of years. And you're like, oh, wasn't expecting that. And then when he gets back to his office or his apartment, there's a package waiting there on him. And it was the last present he had ever given her with the words engraved on it, I was murdered. That catches
And when he gave it to her, it didn't have those words on it.
Yeah. He gave it to her, but it came back to him with those words engraved on it. Then throughout the course of the book, you understand, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but why their marriage fell apart. You get it. You understand why they could no longer be together, but you also realize that if this was his ex-wife and he didn't care anything about her, why in the hell is he fighting so hard to find out who murdered her? He still loves her. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And there's a lot that happens in these. Scott Snyder crammed a ton of stuff in 3 issues.
Yes.
And it is so good. I mean, like I said, this right here, hands down, my favorite read of 2023 was Clear.
That's another one where you were like, what the heck is this in my box?
Yeah, and it was another one because I first looked at it and I couldn't figure out what this was.
Oh, the handprints making the eyes?
The first thing I thought is, why is Josh putting this Neo Tokyo crap in my box? I could care less. Let me go read it because it's apparently something he wants me to talk about. And I read it and I was just like, Josh gets me. he understands me. But since I haven't done it in a long time, and I did this today, and I'm still excited about this, I have a throwback pick of the year.
Are you gonna? Yeah, here we go.
And it's Daredevil #9. Oh, she's beautiful.
Look at that.
He's beautiful. This was my Christmas present to myself. Because, you just got to do those things when you're grown.
You do.
Uh-huh. So those were my top reads of 2020. And like I said,
hang on, hold the presses. Bianca!
Miss Bianca.
It's a Christmas miracle. We get Bianca for a few minutes. I love it. How you doing, Bianca? What's up? How are things?
Oh,
we still need to bring you on this show.
We do. I saw on Instagram some of the I was about to send you a message, but I did not get a chance. Some of the, I guess, the original pieces that you were doing the Whatnot sale for, or getting ready for the Whatnot sale, I really hope that you have prints of those, because I would love to have a print for this one back here of a couple of them. Absolutely beautiful. I'll look them up here in a minute to show you. So next time we see each other, which will hopefully be in April. I'm really hoping you got those prints.
I hope so too. Always good to see you on, Bianca. You made some very big fans up here, so you got this weird little North Alabama contingent of huge Bianca fans, which is awesome. And if I understand it right, I don't know if you were aware of this, but I understand that you're close to somebody who is a tattoo artist, and we have a tattoo expo up here every year as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it happens.
So sorry. Yep. What you have to do is just commission her to do something. You have to work your magic and wheedle around till she feels guilty about it, and then you have to commission her to do something.
Yeah, I mean, my mother was the greatest at guilt trips of all time, and I've really and truly tried to follow in her footsteps. So,
how's that work, bud?
Well, every once in a while it works off. Yeah, and I don't want to say. I mean, we got to get you on the show so we can talk about this.
We absolutely do. Absolutely do.
But kind of what we had hinted about, I could not put Fantastic Four, one particular issue or anything, on my list of top reads for 2023, because every single one of them have been good. It would definitely be one of the top titles of 2023, but I can't pick out one particular reason as to why, just because they've been good.
All right, so I'm going to go through the ones that I'll just name them all so that you know what I have in my minis that I chose as best mini series of the year. Ooh, excellent. That's awesome. We'll have to get together and get food and whatnot. We'll have to talk. It'd be great to talk to you and see you again. Also, we love food. We're very big on it. So under mini series, I had my favorites as Clear, Red Zone, Black Tape, Sins of the Salton Sea, Batman Joker Deadly Duo, No One. So we're right on track, right? And this is where then I veer off a little because I think you just forgot a couple.
Okay.
Right? I have Moon Knight City of the Dead. I have Batman City of Madness. Now, we're only 2 of 3 issues into that, but I'm really digging it.
Yeah.
I have Ultimate Universe, which I liked, but I know you didn't. Here's one I think you forgot. Predator versus Wolverine.
Yeah, I did forget that one, but I don't know. It was a fun read. I just don't know if it would rank up there with my top reads of 2023.
Well, for me, I absolutely freaking love it, and it makes me happy in my soul, so it's on my list. Another one I think you forgot, The Madness.
Yeah. And I've got 2 issues of it to read at home. Yeah, I did forget The Madness.
The Madness is so good. And here's another one which I'm confident you forgot. Dead Romans.
Honestly, there were a couple. I did not forget Dead Romans. I intentionally left that off the list for the simple fact of we've talked about Dead Romans a ton. We've had those guys on the show a couple of times.
Yep.
And I kind of wanted to give some of the other books that I really loved in 2023, kind of give them a little bit of their own moment, because we're still not done with Dead Romans. We're still not done with those guys. They'll be back on the show again one day. I know a couple of guys that are going to end up in Dead Romans.
I'm super excited for that, by the way.
I am too.
I also have to tell you, here's a fun tidbit. One of our customers up at the shop, he came in on Saturday and we were chatting, and he mentioned, he said, yeah, you guys are killing me with some of the stuff that you talk about on the show because we get so excited. He goes, and I kind of bought myself Dead Romans. I bought it so that my kids could give it to me for Christmas. And now I'm really regretting it. And I was like, why? And he goes, because I can't read it until Christmas. It's wrapped up. It's under the tree. I can see it, but I can't read it until Christmas. And I'm so mad. He's so excited to read it. He's also very excited for another book I have on my list. We'll talk about that. So that's all mini series. Under long form, so ongoing series, I got Daredevil. Zdarsky's Daredevil was like a whole nother level.
So
it took Daredevil to a place I would have never thought you could take a superhero character. And he absolutely blew that out of the water. Now, that's not a bad idea.
oh, crap. Sorry.
And we both just hit it
Yeah,
at the
we
same
both
time.
clicked at the same time. My thing about Daredevil is, you know what? This is going to be somewhat sacrilegious to some people, but I'm going to say it anyway. When it comes to comic books, with what Zdarsky has done with Daredevil, and I'm going to take it a step further, and this is where I'm going to get sacrilegious for some people. Zdarsky, when you mention Daredevil, his name deserves to be in the conversation and just as highly regarded as Stan Lee's, Roy Thomas, Frank Miller's. That's how well Zdarsky did Daredevil.
I 100% agree. And Brandy, look at Bianca's name there and do a Google search. Go to Instagram, whatever. Find her art page. She's an artist and she's absolutely brilliant, and her art is utterly delightful.
I was actually just
Absolutely,
showing Bug
utterly
something.
delightful. Go check her out if you haven't seen her stuff. She's also an awesome human being, so you can't go wrong with that either. There you go.
I was actually showing Bug one of the pictures that I wanted to get for her. So I had it pulled up right here. So,
Yeah. Awesome human being who makes gorgeous, wonderful art. You can't go wrong. There you go. Yeah, go and consume some amazing art. She's awesome. You'll love her stuff. And then when you like reach out to her to buy her stuff, she's totally cool. And if you want to come back to Huntsville in April, Brandy, for the Huntsville Comic and Pop Culture Expo, just saying. Fingers crossed. I'm pretty sure Bianca's going to be there, so we're really excited for that. You can come and you can see her at the expo and look at the massive wall of art that she puts up behind her. It's very impressive. Witches and black cats. I mean, she has those and so many more things. She's awesome. Jumping back to Daredevil, I 100% agree with you. His name deserves to be in the top echelon of Daredevil creators of all time. I think he absolutely deserves to be there.
Yeah, but I did not want to put Daredevil on my list because with what all's gone on with that character over the years, and yeah, I've been working through the original stuff on the Marvel Unlimited app. That's all to me, that's almost a holy book. I mean, that's just
yeah, I understand why you say that. It seems like an odd thing to say about a superhero comic, but I see why you say it, and I agree.
Yeah, I mean, that is for a I don't know how some people would look at it, but Daredevil is technically a B-list character.
Historically.
And for a B-list character, a B-list book to fly under the radar since 1965, as far as editorial and everybody else is concerned, and be consistently one of the best books they've ever had. I mean, and then with what Zdarsky did, I mean, like you said, I mean, Zdarsky even gave us the best version of Spider-Man we've seen in the past 10 to 15 years in one issue of Daredevil.
Have wonderful food. Enjoy it. Supper is one of my top 3 meals of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, yes, Brandy is amazing. You would love her. She's super cool. Brandy, Mike is awesome. He is a huge patron of the arts, and he supports a whole lot of artists. Awesome dude. So let's see what else I have on my list. We already talked about it, but I have Moon Knight absolutely on my list as one of the tops because it's amazing. I have Batman on the list because I've really enjoyed Batman. I have Radiant Black here too. Other ones that I considered, I have Nightwing for sure. That's one of my top reads. I have Fantastic Four, and a Fantastic Four has been awesome for a couple of reasons. One, because he has remained true to the premise that he put in the very first issue. And that's the Fantastic Four that he has given us. And two, because he has been highly consistent. It hasn't been like wild swings one way or the other between good books and terrible books. It's been very consistent in style, in tone, in quality, the whole 9 yards. Very, very cool. And I have enjoyed that very much. Ryan North, hats off to you. I've got Miles Morales on here because it's the most Spider-Man book we have right now. And I really do enjoy it quite a lot. It's very, very good. Now, I have a separate category for new series, things that are kicking off. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. But the very first one I have on the list is one that I think you might would have considered or put on your list, and that's Void Rivals.
I would have put that on my list, except It was a great read of 2023. Don't get me wrong. But to me, when I started thinking about stuff like Clear and Black Tape and the direction Wonder Woman's going in,
It's a
to
different
me-
level. I'll give you that.
yeah, it's a different level. But with Void Rivals, this is going to take time because of what they're building with it. And I think that Void Rivals is definitely a book that you invest the time in for the long haul.
Yep, I
To
agree.
see the bigger picture. I was looking solely at where we're at right now in 2023.
Well, I thought it deserved to be here for what it did, which is launching the Energon universe.
Yeah.
And doing it so flipping well.
I can agree with that.
I thought that was kind of an important moment. I also have on here, again, for quality and consistency and just being good stuff. And Bug, I think you might agree with me on this one. I have Scarlet Witch. I thought Scarlet Witch was really good. What have you thought about it?
It's pretty good.
See, look, she wants to hang out. She just don't want to talk.
Have you seen that this series is coming to an end? And it's starting over with a new number 1, but it's Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. And so it's her brother. It's the same writer, same artist, same everything. It's just they're adding him to the mix. I'll be curious to see how that goes. But this 7 issues of Scarlet Witch has been really good.
Oh, not to interrupt, but I forgot to tell you what she bought me for my birthday, which we all know is for her.
Uh-huh.
She got me WandaVision season 1 for my birthday.
I didn't buy it. Mama did.
We know it's for her.
I didn't buy it. Mama did. I didn't even know she was buying it.
Well, while you were out of the room earlier, I asked her what she was getting you for Christmas, and she's like, I don't have any money. And I said, well, here's what you need to do. You just go in and cut up all of his comic books and make him a nice decoupage, and he would love you for it.
Yeah. Start with the Daredevils. Let's see how well that goes over.
Yeah, the old Daredevils especially.
Yeah, old Daredevils.
Yeah, she was pretty quick on that, wasn't she, Brandy?
Oh, yeah, she was. Did not hesitate, never checked up.
Yeah, that's commit to it. That's the deal.
What was it in that Garth Brooks song? Never hit the brakes when he was shifting gears.
That's right. That's one of my favorite songs. I love that song. I also have, and I don't know if you've read it, the new Punisher series. It's only 2 issues out.
I've got the first 2 issues, but I have not read them yet.
It's really good. I was very, very happy. Well, that's interesting.
Alice in Wonderland.
I haven't thought about that, but now that you've said it, I can kind of see it.
Okay, I'm Googling. Hang on. Did you see the comment?
Yeah, but like, I thought that was
It's the Alice in Wonderland that Johnny Depp was in. He was the Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
I
yeah.
thought that was someone else who played her.
Especially in this one picture right here. I can definitely see it.
So you've got the looks and you can dance. So you're going to be a movie star.
When are you going to
You're
give me
awesome.
some of that Alice in Wonderland movie money you holding out on?
Remember, she ain't got no money. She already made that clear.
She ain't got no money because she forgot where she hid it.
All right, so let's see. I had Titans on the list. We talked about that. I had The Flash. I was so pleasantly surprised by The Flash, the direction they're going. To take The Flash, a straight-up superhero character who, hey, I run fast, and to take him into this whole new dimension of kind of cosmic horror, I think is a really clever idea that has been executed extremely well, and the art is utterly stupendous. I thought The Flash was pretty awesome.
I did not have it on my list because we're only, 3 issues in?
Correct.
And I thought it was still a little bit too fresh.
I get that.
Wonder Woman, yes, we're only 3 issues in on Wonder Woman, but that story went so detailed, so deep, so fast.
Uh-huh.
Wonder Woman issue 1 felt like an event. It felt like it was like a big book.
It very much did. I will give you that.
But Flash, don't get me wrong, Flash is very good. I've enjoyed it. It just didn't have that feel that Wonder Woman 1 did.
I'll give you that. I agree. And then I have The Hunger in the Dusk, which we already talked about. But holy smokes, The Hunger in the Dusk has kind of come out of left field for me, and it was so very good. Really, really liked it. And then I have a section here for comeback books.
No, yeah, I'm interested in hearing this.
Books that we had at one time, and then they went away, but now they're back. And one of those we already talked about is Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
There hadn't been a Wonder Woman series in a minute that was worth anything anyway. And this just felt like such a fresh new beginning, and it's so extremely good. The quality is good. The consistency is great. Really, really digging Wonder Woman. And the other one for me, and I thought this was really important because this book, kind of tying into another one that I've already mentioned, is setting the stage. And it's important for a couple of reasons. One, it's because it's good comics and good storytelling. Two, it hits the nostalgia button like with a hammer. And three, this book is currently on pace to outsell Batman.
Really?
Transformers.
Yeah.
Transformers. Right now at the shop, we have more subscribers on Void Rivals and Transformers, and now I think G.I. Joe than we do on Batman.
You know, somebody said, and I want to say it was another shop owner that we had on the show a few months back, and he flat out said Transformers was going to be one of the biggest books of 2023, if not the biggest book of 2023.
And he was right.
Yeah, he was 100% right.
Transformers is huge. And then I have G.I. Joe on the list just because finally, we got 301. Although I talked to somebody the other day who was like, I have wanted to read, he said, I've been a fan of G.I. Joe forever. And I thought 300 was it. That was just the end. And when he ended it the way he did, I could have killed Larry Hama because I thought I was never going to get to see how it ended. And then poof, suddenly here it is. It's a different company, but I get to see how it ends and I get to keep going. And I'm so excited. And I have to agree. I thought it's brilliant and I'm really excited for it. And it's a heck of a comeback. It's the kind of comeback where they were never gone. It was just they were gone long enough that you kind of felt those withdrawals, right? You're like, oh. But G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Void Rivals, I think, hitting very, very hard as far as sales go and making the comic book industry exciting in 2023. And I think from an event perspective, the Energon universe takes the cake.
Yeah. No, I can definitely agree with that. And that does kind of segue into something that I wanted to ask you about. And for those of y'all that are into like G.I. Joe and all this stuff where you're curious about the Energon verse, pay very close attention to what I'm about to say and what I'm going to ask Josh. I read the other day a brief snippet, and I believe I even texted you the article at like 5:30 in the morning.
You did.
Cobra Commander #1, is it really doing what they're claiming it's doing? I mean, is it really... so this is where y'all need to pay close attention. Pre-order that book. This is not a spec collecting thing. It's not. But this book is taking on a life of its own with pre-orders, quick, fast, and in a hurry, from the sounds of it.
They have already had guaranteed pre-orders over 80,000, which doesn't sound like a whole lot considering some of the numbers we've seen over the decades in comics. But in the past 20 years, that's a massive number. Mm-hmm. And that's pre-orders guaranteed. Cobra Commander #1 has got a massive pre-order list already. They've broken some records from independent books.
Yeah, and I mean, considering the character that we're dealing with, I mean, that's...
Yep.
He's not a Batman, a Superman, or a Spider-Man or anything.
He's literally a used car salesman.
Yeah, he's literally a used car salesman, but he's the used car salesman that we've all been secretly rooting for since we were a child. You know, you want to see him succeed on some level.
But Matilda's dad was a used car salesman.
Look,
So-
everything does not have to come back to Matilda.
I don't talk about Matilda that much. Sure, I like the movie, but I don't talk about it that much.
It sounds like he begs to differ, Bug.
He's lying. Lying's a sin. Lying's a sin.
But I gotta tell you, number one for me, from just a event that drove excitement and brought people back into the comics universe, I think the Energon universe has been a boon to the comic book industry in a way that these others have not. It's a much needed shot in the arm of adrenaline.
You know, we kind of talked about it, and it was kind of hinted at some. You know, we never really come out and like flat out said this, but you could tell. You know, those of us that have been reading G.I. Joe for a long time, and we kind of had an idea of what was happening. At first, it was just kind of like, okay, Kirkman's going to get a hold of it. Okay, well, you know what? That's good. You know, we'll see what he can do with it. But then we were a little bit worried about it when we started hearing about this Energon universe and Transformers and what is this Void Rivals. And then it was when you started reading the interviews and hearing some of the things that he said, you're like, well, wait a minute, this guy's actually a legit fan.
He absolutely is.
I mean, for him to sit there and go, well, y'all don't understand, my office is littered with Transformer toys. When this ended up being the best possible home for both of those franchises.
I could not agree more.
And I know that there's supposedly more coming in the future.
Yes. I'll tell you, there are a couple of things about this that made that told me he knew what he was about. One, he's got the Energon universe over here, and two, he kept G.I. Joe with Larry Hama and Real American Hero over here, totally separate. So we get the original recipe, Larry Hama, G.I. Joe, and he very smartly is keeping those separate. He's also, while he's over here doing his thing with the Energon universe, he is retconning the origin of G.I. Joe and Cobra and how that ties in to what's going on in the Energon universe as a whole. I will tell you that I read a retailer previews, I told you a few weeks ago, of Duke #1. Really, really good. Now you need to read Transformers #2 before you read Duke #1.
Really?
That's important. Yes. You need to read Transformers #2 before you read Duke #1. But this will tell you the kind of quality of story that Duke #1 is, right? I got a text from Tom today. I'm actually just going to read it to you because it's hilarious. All right, he says we got our shipment of books for Image and DC next week.
I saw the last page of Duke #1.
And he says, I was trying to quickly go through the lunar order, but I ended up reading Duke #1, and I'm spotting Easter eggs left and right in this issue. My mind is blown. And then like an hour and a half later, okay, I checked out the entire order, and it's okay. He started processing the books and making sure we got what we were supposed to get, and it's not damaged and all this stuff. And he's like, okay, we got 4 copies of that, 8 copies of that, 12 copies of this, 27 copies of that, and Duke #1.
He was very excited about Duke #1 when I got there.
Yeah.
And I did do a short for Duke #1. There is a short that'll be coming out next week for it.
Christmas Day?
But no, actually, I've got a different short planned for Christmas Day. But he showed me the last page of Duke 1. He was still excited about it. And just seeing the last page, it is a split page with 2 different characters.
Yep.
And I done got, because you've read it, right?
Yeah, I read it about a month and a half ago.
I'm going to be honest with you. He was never one of my favorite characters, but I got a little bit excited when I saw, our boy here.
Yep.
Hint, hint.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
And one of the things that, and I thought this was really smart of Josh Williamson and Robert Kirkman, was they said, we're going to introduce a lot of characters through these books, Duke and Cobra Commander, and then like after that will be a follow-on book, maybe more limited series and then a follow-on book, but they're kind of building the team out the same way that Marvel built the MCU.
Yeah.
Like, here's this character and this character and this character and this character. They're purposefully saving Snake Eyes for later because he dominates everything, right? When he comes in, he just takes it over because that's the character everybody's interested in. So they're purposefully building up fans for other characters. But he said, we're not just going to be like, oh, here's your character, your favorite character's first appearance was, oh, that was that Easter egg. That was that guy walking by back there. He's like, if they're going to be in the story, they're going to be in the story and they're going to be cool.
Yep.
And I'm like, awesome.
So which Snake Eyes does he go with?
We don't know. I would imagine the original, but Lord only knows.
I don't know. Sean Collins' Snake Eyes has just got a special place right here.
I know it does.
I mean, the way he was introduced, the way he progressed, and then by the end of it, even the Joes are in the pit going, guys, he's just as good as Snake Eyes. I mean, that character, that was character development that only ever said maybe 2 words. I mean,
Yeah.
Larry Hama is a genius for the way he pulled that off.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm praying to God that we get Larry Hama at the expo sometime soon.
You know, that
I would dearly love to have an event with him where we can just sit down and talk G.I. Joe.
That would be so much fun.
If ever, Jeremy Long, there were an event that Haven Comics would sponsor, it would be like a dinner with Larry Hama. I'm just telling you. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be like, what was it, a couple of years ago when Jim Starling was at the expo?
Uh-huh.
And he comes walking around, and I round the corner at the Haven booth, and he's standing there. And for the first time in my life, I was starstruck.
Yep.
I mean, I couldn't even tell the man, hey, how you doing? Because all I could do was stand there and look at him and think, he destroyed everything. What happened in your life that made you wake up one morning and say, I'm going to create a purple character that will destroy all of mankind? All I could think about was, this dude changed it all.
And years later, they tried to do the exact same thing again, and they created Barney.
Yeah, exactly. I would be the same way with Larry Hama.
Barney was basically
Yeah.
I mean, I want to be at that dinner, but don't expect too much out of me.
I get it. Larry Hama is the man, and I'm very excited. That's true. Grimace has been around for a while. Scary Purple. They should have a team up.
Yeah, really.
Like the Purple Nurples. They could all get together.
Purple Nurples.
But no, Larry Hama, I would dearly love to have him at the expo, and I'm very hopeful that will happen one day. Because I would sincerely love to just sit down and talk with him and talk G.I. Joe. And I mean, the man wrote my childhood. If anybody did, it was that man. I mean, my best friend and I used to run around the neighborhood being ninjas. And
I was going to make a comment about something we mentioned.
Go for it. What you got, Bug?
Unpopular opinion, the Grimace shake wasn't that bad.
I never tried it, so I have no opinion.
I might take your word on that.
There was so many people like, it's so bad. It tasted like a chocolate yogurt. That's what it tasted like. But it was purple.
See, to me, you would think it would be more vanilla flavored, but
it wasn't that bad.
It should have been eggplant flavored because it's purple.
My thing about Larry Hama is, yes, I mean he wrote our childhood,
And that
but
doesn't even get into things like Bucky O'Hare and Wolverine. His run on Wolverine was spectacular.
how did he come up with so many characters and it never felt cluttered?
That is a legit question because that's an impressive thing to do. And I do wonder how many of those characters are actually based on people he knew when he was in the army.
And see, that was going to be my next question. I mean, because so take the then I mean this is kind of this is along the same lines. There's an author. His pseudonym was W.E.B. Griffith.
Yep.
He wrote the Badge of Honor series, which is one of my favorite book series of all time. It's about the Philadelphia Police Department in the 70s. And he wrote several war series about like Vietnam War and all this stuff. But there were tons of his characters throughout the book. They were based on real people that he knew. In the Badge of Honor series, and I know some people that have read his series about the Marine Corps during Vietnam, and they could actually pick out who those characters were based upon. So that would be a question that I would have for Larry Hama. He created so many characters and so many characters that had distinct personalities.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how do you do that? I mean, that's just that's an amazing feat for a writer.
I mean, I want to talk to him about where characters like the Dreadnoks, where did that come from? Such a bizarre thing to add to this, like, U.S. military force versus this kind of terrorist organization, pseudo, nation state actor kind of force. Where did he come up with the freaking Dreadnoks? And how in the world did he make them fit in it so well?
Mm-hmm.
And Zartan, this bizarre master of disguise kind of guy, with these weird capabilities. But then he took the Zartan mythos and made him such a phenomenal character throughout the life of the series. I'm just really curious how he could make something that was supposed to sell some cheap toys to kids and turn it into something that people have been passionate about their whole lives.
Yep.
But hats off to him because he did a remarkable job, as my shelves can attest.
And slowly but surely, my shelves at home too.
But yeah, that wrapped up my favorite reads of 2023 list. We had an awful lot of overlap.
Yeah, we did. I mean, we have a lot of the same tastes when it comes to comics. But I cannot tell you, and this has been touched on too, I know a lot of people that have, I say a lot of people, I know several people that have told me flat out since we've been doing, shop talk and everything, that they have read books that they never would have read because we've talked about them.
And they liked them, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. And it was, I never would have picked that up. I picked it up because both of y'all were excited about it and I fell in love with it. Everything that Josh and I have talked about here tonight, with the exception of one title that Josh mentioned, you're going to love it. I mean, just go buy it. And I mean, I cannot guarantee that everyone will love Ultimate Invasion.
Right. And that's fair.
Yeah.
I absolutely understand why. But next week we can talk about some of what we're looking forward to in 2024. And I've got some things I'm very much looking forward to in 2024. And I'm hoping, I don't know that it will happen, and I suspect it will not, but I'm hoping to have a guest on next week.
Really?
Who is going to be part of something that I'm very, very, very much looking forward to in 2024.
Really?
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm crossing my fingers. So before we sign off, we've talked about an awful lot of the great things that were in the 2023 stocking. You had a couple of lumps of coal, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
I
Alpha
know
Flight
what one
number
of them
one.
is.
Alpha Flight number one, right off the bat. Alpha Flight number one. And here's my thing on that book. I was so looking forward to it because we were getting an Alpha Flight book. I was so looking forward to hopefully we're going to get something different. We got the exact same story, just with different characters. There was nothing fresh about their book. There was nothing inventive about that book. I honestly, I like to read. There's not a lot that I will not like. As far, I'll tell you right out, like Ultimate Invasion, there was nothing wrong with Ultimate Invasion. It just personally wasn't my cup of tea. I could not get excited about it. Story, presentation, everything else, it was solid. Alpha Flight, no, it was absolute trash. I mean, I could not enjoy it on any level once I started realizing that it was basically the exact same X-Men story that we've been getting for years. I tried to read some Spider-Man over this past year. Peter Parker Spider-Man. It's just not working. It's really not.
It's so tragically terrible.
Yeah, and then there was one other that I literally read. Oh, Sensational She-Hulk.
No, fair enough.
So I went into thinking, hey, maybe, and walked out of it going, yeah, nope.
I'm kind of like you. I've got a good sense of what I'm going to like. And once I start reading it, I typically like it. I had a book that came out a couple of weeks ago. It was the first issue of a series that looked interesting. I was on board with it conceptually. And then I read the first issue, and I will not read the second one. It was trash. It was terrible. It was not worth it. And I hate to say it because it's an independent book called Under Heist.
I don't think I picked that one up.
Well, don't. If you didn't, don't.
Okay.
I was so bitterly disappointed in that book. It was just bad.
See, and that's
and I we don't talk a whole lot of negativity here on the show because
that's what I was about
generally
to say.
speaking, we don't we choose things that we think we're going to like, and most of the time we find something to like about it. In the case of Under Heist, I couldn't do it. I could not do it. A surprise book that I didn't think I was going to like as much as I did was Bryn Mawr.
See, I missed the first issue on that one.
It was it was the classic kind of gothic Southern story, right? Where this guy goes back to his hometown. His hometown just happens to be this tiny little island off the coast of Georgia, like Sinkateek or Tybee Island or something like that.
Yeah.
It's this remote little island. But he goes back, and everybody is like, "Why is he back? Nobody likes him." And he's like an architect, contractor kind of a guy. And the land that his family owned, and the reason he came back, had this little old country church sitting on the land. And he's like, I'm just going to turn that little old country church into my house. And he starts futzing with it, and he goes down and he discovers like a hidden basement or a hidden wall, a wall in the basement that had a hidden compartment kind of thing. And when he breaks through that, kind of the last thing you see at the end of the first issue is there's a coffin buried, standing up and chained to the wall.
And
he's like,
no,
oh.
And he's like any, absolute moron. He's like, well, I guess I better see what's in there. If there's a coffin standing upright, chained to the wall, don't open it.
Okay, Josh, you're talking to the person who's actively looking for a yard sale Ouija board. You know I'm going to open that coffin.
Well, that's what he does. And here's where the story takes a twist. He opens it. Sure enough, there's a vampire in there. But what does that vampire do? That vampire pops out and says, "What in the heck have you done?"
Really? No,
That's
that's
so
interesting.
cool.
Because the vampire was there to protect the island from something worse.
Wow, that's a nice twist.
It's a nice twist. Bryn Mawr has been a surprisingly good book. I've really enjoyed it. You know what, Mike? I almost mentioned the Ribbon Queen and I didn't. Ribbon Queen's right up there. That's a heck of a good series.
It really is. The only reason why I did not mention Ribbon Queen was because I was already extremely AWA heavy. One thing that
Ribbon Queen.
yeah, I would like to kind of, yeah, we kind of had a couple of books there we just trashed, and then you kind of brought us back to center with telling us about a good one. Overall, in 2023, I think that we had two really big winners. One was DC.
Okay, not one of the ones I thought, but yes, okay.
I think that DC was a really big winner in 2023.
100% agree.
They started going after character-driven stories again.
And it shows in the quality of their books.
Yes.
I have always been very heavy Marvel with very little DC, and this year that pendulum has swung very hard toward DC.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to say overall, independent comic books was a winner for 2023 because we saw some fantastic books from multiple companies. Everywhere, Mad Cave and AWA to even Scout Comics. We saw some really good ones from them. Overall, independent comics had a huge 2023 in my mind, but the biggest winner of 2023 was AWA. That's in my opinion.
I'm going to say my top three, if we're going to go down that kind of a route, top three publishers who really won hearts and minds with me, in no particular order, AWA, DC, and Image, particularly Skybound.
Yep.
Because Skybound, again, not just from a reader perspective, I have really enjoyed everything from a reader perspective. But as a retailer, as a fan of comics and the medium, Skybound has injected such a vast amount of energy back into comics nationwide. The sales numbers for the Energon Universe books, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Void Rivals, have been spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
And that has it has brought people back into the comic shop who have not been in comics for years saying, "Hey, I heard they've rebooted Transformers and it's good."
Yep.
So those are my top three. But yeah, I think AWA has just been phenomenal. And once again, AWA, we have proof that you guys listen to this sometimes. We want to have some of you guys come on the show so we can get more people excited about your books and get more people reading them. Mike Deodato, Axel Alonso, come on, guys. J. Michael Straczynski, bring it, brother. We would love to talk to you. Also, we talked some Babylon 5, too.
I mean, honestly, Cullen Bunn, I don't think you're going to find anybody in the country that can sell Red Zone better than Josh and I can.
True that. And that one was a bit of a step outside of the norm for him because he's normally a horror guy. And he's writing 437 books a month.
Yep.
I don't know how he does it. That was a little bit of an aberration for him, but it was such a phenomenal book. And we could see more books in that universe, and I would love to.
That would be a really fun universe. Something that I had brought up a couple of weeks ago, and this is my last thing for the night, and I'll let y'all go. Something that I had brought up a couple of weeks ago, and then I kind of forgot about it until I walked into Haven today, and it was sitting on the shelf. I think there was only 2 copies left. Y'all need to make this book sell out everywhere. Not just Haven, but everywhere. And that is Shift. Shift is a spinoff. It spins right out of the pages of Radiant Black.
Yep.
Shift is a great character. The book that's on the shelf right now is a one-shot, so you're not getting wrapped into an ongoing series. I would like to see Shift become an ongoing series, but That's a good story, and I'm telling y'all right now, y'all will like Shift. I hadn't even read it yet, but I know the character, and it's just one of those characters that you automatically like. That he's think of Shift as the anti-hero.
I like it. I like it. All right, everybody, we are ready to sign off. Gonna go get some Christmas cheer on. Merry Christmas to everybody. We look forward to catching up next time and talking about what we're looking forward to in 2024, because there's some awesome books that are coming out and some awesome things happening. And we want to encourage folks to read comics, read good comics, and then let's talk about them. That's half the fun. So thank you guys so much for making 2023 awesome. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. Come to the shop Saturday afternoon. Hang out with us for Christmas. Bring your spork. We're going to eat some elf-style spaghetti and try to raise some money for Kids to Love. So bring your spork. Bring your pocketbook. If you want to try some elf-style spaghetti, I will be eating it for the children. That's what we're going to do. Yeah, Brandy, you wouldn't want to miss it. It's going to be beautiful. Spaghetti with syrup and chocolate syrup and marshmallows and crunched up Pop-Tarts, all mixed together by hand, lovingly, because that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to see how much money that we can raise for Kids to Love, which is an awesome organization. So, yeah, come out and see us Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, hang out. Eat some spaghetti, make a contribution to Kids to Love, have a great time, and have a very Merry Christmas. Brandy, we are going to stream that Saturday afternoon, starting about 5 o'clock. So you can watch it from afar, and it will be glorious. But good night, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Hope you guys have a great Christmas with your friends and family. Thank you much, everybody.